life in the soil sends the minerals up, and it's at the bottom of the plant that they form the protein. So that is where the protein is. Now if you've got a pasture that, let's call it a foot and a half tall, and you put your cattle in to graze, where do they graze? Why? Because that's where the energy is. Now the cow couldn't care a damn if she doesn't give you a calf. But she does care to live to the next day. And it's that hydrogen, the energy, that is going to enable her to live for another day. So she will guzzle all the hydrogen she can. And she will kill herself, as you know, if you put a bag of corn in the field, she will kill herself eating hydrogen. But corn has also a bit of protein. So in a ration, when you're saying I'm adding corn to my ration, you are chasing your tail because you are adding energy plus a bit of protein. So if you're trying to correct an excess of protein, you're adding more protein to already excess of protein. And that's why you look at the dung pattern. Because if you're frightened of walking behind your cattle in case they cough, then you've got a problem because you've got too much protein. Okay. So that's why the animal goes in and grazes that. So when you get your animals to eat what you have at the moment, which is unpalatable species of grass, you will want them to graze that and tread the rest. And that is what stock density does. So you're treading the rest onto the soil, you're putting carbon onto the soil, you're feeding the critters onto the soil, and it comes back. But what eventually happens is, this hydrogen migrates. You start capturing that amount of hydrogen. So then you go to grass that is this tall, and it's hydrogen. And you put your cattle in, and they graze it to that sort of height. But you must always take them out before everything is grazed. So you have food behind you and food in front of you. And what happens is, this that is left behind recovers quicker. So that if you estimate, or you sat in the pub, and everybody, all the old timers have told you that in this environment you need a 30-day recovery period, you might come back to a 15-day recovery period. Now what is happening? You are harvesting the energy, the hydrogen, which comes from the sun. The chlorophyll turns the sun's energy into energy that is available to the animal. You all of a sudden are capturing huge amounts of hydrogen, which is energy. So what happens to your cattle numbers? Increase dramatically because they can eat the whole plant and do well. So instead of requiring, how many acres do you need an animal here? 2 acres. Divide it by 2 and divide it by 2 again, that's half an acre. Is a good starting point if you're managing reasonably. And you can get to lower than that. We required 3 hectares per LSU, a livestock unit, or we did. And I know I can get down to 0.4. Now what has that done to the cost of keeping a cow? I'm not here to give you a maths lesson. Any questions? Yes.
I'm thinking about the carrying capacity, but that idea that you can get down to a half acre, that does still allow the fact that you're going to be able to sell when adverse weather comes along, or
Of course.
you have to be able to adjust that, so it's not, well, I'm going to have a half acre and I'm going to keep them forever.
You are
That's the whole
totally
challenge.
flexible
Yeah.
because the weather is totally flexible and you don't know what nature's going to throw at you.
How does that work for a cow-calf guy? I'm carrying these cows, and so do I carry a group of cows that I expect I will know that I, in the worst case scenario, would start selling down, and then use stockers as a supplement to get the right density for the current condition?
Correct. So you have various classes of animals. You have diversity in the class of animals you have. You create stability within your system. And you do not want all cows and calves. Sorry, cows and calves. Because when you're selling your cows and calves, everybody else is going to be selling your cows and calves. So you have something else. And because you're selling 6 months before anybody else, because you monitor, you're still getting a good price. And what is a good price? The price you get. The price you get, the timing of that price is more important than the size of the price. Because if you don't sell today, you're holding out for a higher price and the prices are going down. By the time you do sell, you're going to have to sell twice the number of cattle, because those cattle you kept on the property have been eating all the time while you waited for the price to go. Okay, so that is energy, and we need to harvest that energy. And if you don't harvest that energy, so you improve your soil, you improve your grass, and you don't harvest your energy, you actually start then going backwards. And it gets quite frustrating. Because all the pink eye and everything that you had before starts coming back. Pink eye is a factor of pH in the animal's body. It is not a disease. 90% of diseases that if you don't inoculate for, the animal could die, is a lie. But that's your choice. I'm not telling you not to vaccinate. But it's a lot of money, and vets can only make their money with scare tactics. If your animal's healthy, do humans, if they're healthy, get sick?
Yes.
Very seldom. Yeah, so that's what it is. So what is the other thing? It's capping that the stock density regulates, and that's the chipping of the soil, the breaking of the capping that happens when it rains. If rain falls, and if you haven't got carbon above the soil, whether it's living carbon in the form of grass or litter, to smash that droplet as it falls on the ground, it caps the soil, and the water will then run off the property. What you actually require is to have enough carbon above the soil that that rain that falls there stays there for 9 to 12 months where it falls, and gradually gets let go, and the carbon does that for you. That's the nature's way of doing it, but we do know that. So animal performance, beware of conventional ration balancing. It's not precise this time. Just let me finish this one, and we can have a tea break. Thank you. See what put apart.
Yeah.
Free Choice Minerals Enterprises, we've spoken about that. It's where I learned about pH of the animal. If you can keep the pH as close as possible to 7, that animal will breed back, it'll do well. If the pH of the animal is up to 9 at this time of the year, beware when you put the bulls in, even though the cows look good, they will not conceive, because the first thing that closes down are the reproductive organs. Okay? And we'll go into detail what happens within the animal, why it closes down, so we'll spend some time on that. So we give the animals the minerals, and we need to supplement when we start with what we have, and be careful of that supplementation. I've already used corn as an example. Ethanol is true energy. Maybe your cows also need a tipple in the evening. So be careful of what you put in your supplementation, and understand what you're doing with the grazing. It's not about taking everything off. The more you leave, the more you're investing for next year. And if your return is 10%, then you're doing better than putting it through the animal. Okay. Good. Any questions?
How do you monitor the pH of the rumen?
You wait till a cow urinates, and you get some pH paper and you wipe it on the leaves, not in the soil, and it'll show you what the pH is.
Oh, great.
You can see by my size, I don't run after my cows and try and catch it. If you don't like your neighbor, you tell them that's what he has to do. Good, thank you. You've got a 20-minute break. Do what you need to do.